My wife and I were talking about something last night, and it reminded me of Westbrook and the Lakers. So my wife said, boats don't sink because of the water around them. Boats sink on the water you let into the boat. LeBron let Westbrook into the Lakers. This was going to be a great year. Now they're sinking. That's the boats that sink, not the water around you. LeBron and Westbrook, they like each other. So the Lakers didn't really want Westbrook. Vogel didn't want him, and they brought in Westbrook, and I thought it was fairly obvious why they were bringing him in. Not for the playoffs. Get him away from the playoffs. Old roster, 80's always hurt, LeBron increasingly so, Carmelo same. Bring him in, 30 minutes a night, 20 points. Just get production out of him. He's a hustler. Last night he was benched. And this shows you the state. This is the danger of bringing in fading stars. Frank Vogel had to ask permission in the last week to just put him on the bench in certain spots. For Westbrook, it's his fourth team in 4 years. Vogel's reasoning why he took him out last night in a loss to the horrible Pacers, it seems reasonable to me. It seems incredibly reasonable to me. But yet LeBron and Carmelo afterwards coddling. I hope it's okay. I hope Westbrook's okay. And what if it isn't? So what? Fourth team, 4 years, outrageously expensive. By the way, Melo is very well liked within the roster, I am told. He's very supportive of other players. Westbrook isn't. Westbrook couldn't get along with KD, couldn't get along with Harden, couldn't get along now with LeBron. Why? It's kind of selfish. He won't do the screens. He doesn't want to play defense. He's not really there to support his teammates like Melo is. Melo's a faded star. But Carmelo Anthony accepted at some point over the last 3 years, he came to terms with, I'm a bench guy. Westbrook still sees himself as just a slump. This is just a 6-year shooting slump. He'll break out of it any day now. And this was going to be the place. They weren't asking Westbrook to carry him to a title. They just needed minutes. It's LeBron. Everything works with LeBron, right? Like almost everybody plays well with LeBron. And he can't even do this. So Westbrook needs a long, hard look in the mirror. I've been on this for years. He's like Cam Newton. The game has moved beyond him. What the game asks now of its stars, he doesn't do well. And I have some sympathy for that. Like sometimes the sport moves into you, sometimes it moves out of you. But the fact that Westbrook now, you have to ask permission to bench him in key spots. Westbrook, the babysitting and the coddling for Russell Westbrook, they don't do that in baseball. They don't do that in football. We don't do that in soccer. I don't think they do it in hockey. I don't watch enough to know. But you're almost to the point now with the Westbrook deal, and this is shocking to me. You're better to just write it off maybe and just move him. Just get him out of the locker room. Is that where we're at? Because LeBron and Carmelo, let's listen to LeBron here. It's still everybody's walking on eggshells because they benched the guy who can't shoot late in a game. Memo to NBA front offices. Don't give special treatment to players who are no longer special. Westbrook isn't. All right, here's the story. We told you the last couple of days, I have been told, I said on this show yesterday and the day before, Harbaugh would take the Raiders job, I'm told. If not, he's going to stay at Michigan. But the Raiders job with those offensive pieces, with Derek Carr, is very, very interesting to him. And let's be honest about it. Jim Harbaugh, 58 years old, has a lot of coaching left. It's very, very possible Michigan's not going to be his last spot. He could stay 6 years at two places, retire at 70. Coaches now are coaching in their 70s, so Harbaugh's got a long runway left. And I am told he would take the Raiders job if it was offered. But they have an interim coach, and we'll get into that later. But this all stems from this. A few years ago, and it may have been 7, 8, 9 years ago, I forget. Saban lost to Auburn, the big rival. And he's lost to him a few times. But he lost to Auburn. And the fans ripped Saban. The media did. And there was a lot of talk about his Saban overpaid. Can't even beat Auburn. You know what Nick did? He went and interviewed for the Texas job. Remember that? And got his salary doubled. and made boosters pay off his mortgage. He got a car dealership. You don't mess with excellent. This is what happened to Harbaugh, who's been to a Super Bowl. The Michigan brand was in big trouble between Rich Rod and Brady Hoke. There were tens of thousands of, at the end of games, seats available. The revenue machine wasn't churning out the dollar bills. Harbaugh arrives and immediately merchandise sales spike. Spring practices, there's more people. The recruiting goes up. The brand is back. And because he can't beat Ohio State, which, by the way, very few programs can. There's about 2 to 3 that can consistently beat Ohio State. One Bama, maybe one Clemson. That's about it. That's about who beats Ohio State. They wanted to give him a pay cut this year, and they did. And he has not forgotten it. John Calipari at Kentucky, been there 13 years. Calipari only has one title. You could argue he's underachieved. Ask him for a pay cut and see what happens. Okay. Ask him. Whether or not a Calipari wins titles, a Saban beats Auburn every year, or Harbaugh beats Ohio State as much as you'd like, there's 2 things he equals: revenue and relevance. Don't screw with that. The Saban brand, the Harbaugh brand, the John Calipari brand is beyond just winning. And he's winning enough. He has now won 10 games or more 4 times at Michigan. That's half of his career there. But Rich Rod and Brady Hoke, they not only did damage to the roster, they did damage to the brand. A lot of times people in the media, I don't think they get this. Lincoln Riley makes over $100 million. Damn straight he does. Clay Helton not only crushed the roster, he and Lynn Swann almost killed the program. That's $1 billion brand. They just, literally, there's nobody at the games in Southern California now with 2 NFL teams. So Lincoln Riley now is in a mad dash in the transfer portal to not only get the roster better, because it's a mess, but to get the brand back to churning revenue, 75,000 USC hoodies all over town in golf shirts and hats. So memo to athletic directors who have a Calipari, who have a Saban, who have a Harbaugh, don't get too worked up when they don't beat the rival every year, or don't beat him as much as you'd like, or don't win the national titles. You got a Harbaugh, you got a Calipari, you got a Saban. Revenue and relevance. Because all these great jobs, Kentucky basketball, almost every other hire stinks. Alabama football, before Saban, every other hire was a whiff. Michigan football, back-to-back whiffs. Rich Rod, Brady Hoke. USC football's had like 3 great coaches ever and about 9 whiffs. So just be very careful. Tread very lightly on, hey, Jim, I want you to take a big pay cut. Hey, Nick, you got to beat Auburn more. Hey, Calipari, only 1 title. Go look at the history of each of those programs. 50% of their hires take the revenue and the relevance into the tank. I don't know if Harbaugh is going to get offered that job. I've said I don't have a source on that, but my source has been, apparently, according to the new stuff from The Athletic, my source is accurate, and that Harbaugh will take the Raiders job if offered. It clearly yet has not been offered. So my guess is I'd probably say 60-40 stays at Michigan, because I think the interim coach probably going to get that gig. Certainly a strong candidate. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd, or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.